guys, welcome back to another episode of the Property Sourcing Success Show. Today, guys, I wanted to talk to you about the market shift because, and this has come up in recent conversations I've been having with other property professionals, if you've done a deal or two and you're now thinking, why over the last couple of months does everything feel a little bit tighter? Why do things feel slower? Why do deals seem harder to stack? Well, look, you're not imagining it. And before we go any further today, I want to make something very, very clear. And if you've been following me for a while, you will know this to be true. I am not one of these people who thinks sourcing is just finding something below market value and then you'll be mega rich. That obsession is one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck. People don't make progress. People don't make money in sourcing. So when I say what still works in 2026, I'm not talking about chasing mythical unicorn discounts. You'll be here for an awful long time if that's what you're doing. What I really want to talk about is building deals with margin, building deals with a buffer, and building deals with a bit of control so that they actually work in the real world. In terms of what I'm seeing, people who have sourced one or two deals are getting more stuck than beginners right now because you've got enough experience to remember when deals maybe stacked easier. And now you're watching the headlines, the rates. Landlords are panicking, investors are hesitating, and you start to think that you need a brand new strategy. Newsflash, most of the time you do not. But what you do need is essentially an upgraded definition of what a good deal looks like now in 2026. And as we go through the rest of the year, and you need to tighten the parts of your process that create certainty if you are sourcing on behalf of investors. So what I really want to do today is essentially give you a bit of a simple filter that you can apply in your sourcing business immediately. And I want to keep it simple. It will come as no surprise. These podcast episodes are super short and they are designed to be that way so that you can listen, take notes, but more importantly, take action straight away. In the cheap money era, a lot of quote unquote average deals looked good. And I suppose deals survived because money was cheap and buyers were confident, sometimes too confident. But now the market is much stricter. It's not dead, but the market is more stringent, which means this is really an era where the best property sourcing professionals separate themselves from the spreadsheet wannabes, the spreadsheet cowboys. In 2026, guys, I want you to understand this. The money that you make from your property sourcing, and speaking as someone who has made a lot of money property sourcing, your profit doesn't need to come from hype deals. As we go through 2026, the money that you make from a sourcing perspective will come from buying deals that have a buffer, doing stronger due diligence, mastering the art of being able to negotiate properly, being able to present and package a deal professionally, and then the deals that still work when things don't go perfectly. So if you've been thinking, maybe that's me, or maybe that you have been the problem, it's not you. It's just that the market is now forcing you to be better, and that's a good thing, right? You are being forced to level up. You are being forced to be better, to do better. So here's the filter. In terms of what a good deal might look like in 2026, I have set down 3 margin rules for me when it comes to deals that I'm either investing in myself or passing on to my investor portfolio clients. A good deal in 2026 needs to have 2 out of these 3 margins. That is my opinion. And notice what I'm saying. Margin. I'm not saying below market value. It makes me sick to even say it. Makes me sick. Below market value. BMV. Help me, Jesus. It's the only term next to all money out that sends a shiver down my spine. I am not saying below market value. I am saying margin, because a deal doesn't need to have some ludicrous discount to be a great deal, but it does need to have breathing room. So the 3 margins that I am working off for my portfolio and anything I pass out to my investors this year, number 1 is a safety margin. So that's basically asking yourself, are you paying a sensible price for the risk that you are taking? You don't need to brag about a discount, but you do need to avoid overpaying, which so many people did not avoid in 2025 or 2024 for that matter. Because if your deal only works when everything is going perfectly, it's a fragile deal, okay? And I always want you to remember that asking price on any property is only an opinion. You have absolute free will and choice to offer below. So margin, margin, margin. Call it a safety margin. The second thing that I'm going to be looking at in 2026 is my value add margin. I want to make sure there's a realistic upside from what I'm doing if I'm going to be looking at, for example, buy, refurbish, refinance deals. If we're doing a refurb, if we're doing a reconfiguration, if we're improving the rental appeal, and that it's value that buyers and valuers, very important, actually recognize. Not fantasy football numbers, not, it'll be worth more because I want it to be, not, I'm going to paint it grey and then I'll add 30 grand to the value. No. True value add. And then the third thing I want to have a look at is terms margin. Now, this is one a lot of people sleep on. Terms margin is when you get advantage through certainty and structure. This is, again, where the art of becoming a very good negotiator will really pay itself in spades, but you want to be looking at timelines, access, conditions, maybe seller problems that you can solve. All of that will give you leverage. And there's a key to this because in 2021, having one out of these three margins could actually carry a deal. But in 2026, in order to safeguard yourself, you're going to want to have two out of those three. That is how you protect your investor. That is how you protect your reputation. And that's how you stop wasting time sourcing and packaging deals that crumble like a chocolate digestive dipped into tea. It will fall apart. So let me say this clearly. If the only reason your deal works is because you're banking on a perfect mortgage product or the perfect valuation and no refurb surprises, then it's not a deal. It's a prayer. Yes, it's a prayer. People keep hearing creative structuring. And this is something I want to spend a little bit of time on and assume that it means complicated deals. And sometimes it does. And frankly, I can't be absolutely bothered with anything that requires too much brain power from that perspective. But what I am talking about with creative finance in 2026 is actually control. Because the best property sourcers or portfolio builders in this coming year, well, they're not just finding deals, they're also controlling the variables. And by controlling the variables, I mean you control the story with the comparables and the evidence. So your offer is justified. And this is something I bang on with the guys inside the six-figure sourcing mastermind. If you're going to make an offer that is below the asking price, make sure you can stand over your justification. Bring the receipts. Receipts. You also control the risk by doing the proper due diligence, not just going on a vibe. Because from what I've seen with a lot of deals that have been put in front of me over the last 12 months, some people were just going on a vibe, and that's not good. You also want to control the terms so you can create the certainty and control the exit so that you're not locked into, one kind of fragile outcome. And all of this is the reason I don't obsess over below market value. I simply don't. If you've been following me for any length of time, you will know that. Because you can buy something below market value and still get absolutely battered if the area is and I have been there. I have had those personal experiences. I have bought below market value thinking I had a steal of a deal of the century, only to find out it was an absolute liability. It was actually a paramilitary drug den. Found that out after I'd bought it. But you will still, if you buy below market value and obsess over it, you can still get absolutely screwed if the area is, if the exit is, non-existent, if the refurb turns out to be top heavy, or if the assumptions that you made when assessing the deal turned out to be absolute fluff and shite. What does matter is, does this deal survive in real life 2026? Because investors are not paying you for effort and energy and vibes, they're paying you for certainty. What will work in 2026 for sourcers? There's 3 buckets, and all of them are working right now. And all of them are repeatable. The first bucket is you want to investor-proof, high-demand buy-to-lets. Very boring, very, very, very boring, but solid. If you want consistent fees, and let's face it, who doesn't want consistent fees, then you need consistent demand. And this is not the all singing, all dancing sex appeal that you were perhaps expecting from me, but boring wins every single day of the week. Boring pays. Boring paid me very, very well. So I want you to do what I have done and go for high demand, buy to let. Very boring, but it pays. The second one you can look at is buy, refurbish, refinance deals, but with a hint of realism splashed in for good measure. Not the superhero buy, refurbish, refinance that we see touted online all too often. Remember, all that glitters is not gold. All money out or it's pointless is an attitude that so many have. Well, it's stupid. Buy, refurbish, refinance, where you buy sensibly, add sensible, recognizable value, build in a bit of a buffer, and then you're not relying on the valuer to come in and save the day. The third thing that I want you to look at is essentially problem-led deals, and you can access these through estate agents and letting agents if you know how to do it properly. You're looking at tired landlords. You're looking at probate properties. You're looking at empty properties. You're looking at homes and people that need certainty and speed. Because when there's a real problem, then you can help negotiate and structure a deal without playing games. And this is why I'm not a fan of direct-to-vendor marketing, because when you come up against people who do have a real pain point, the direct-to-vendor aspect of it is playing a game. You're taking advantage of somebody who has a real need. Don't be that person. You can help people with problems who want to sell and do it through the mainstream means of working with estate agents and letting agents. Yes, you can. And that's where the opportunity lives in 2026. In terms of mistakes, and I want to keep this very short, because I am seeing people with some experience in property sourcing make a couple of mistakes. If I tell you what they are, you can fix them really quickly. You can figure out, is that you? But the first one is you're trying to force old numbers into new deals. So I need you to stop comparing everything to 2021, right? Just stop doing that. The second mistake is you think the answer is a brand new strategy every month. This is my pet peeve. Shiny penny, shiny penny. Oh, look, a magpie. No, it's not. It's your execution, your implementation, and your standards. The third mistake that I see people make is sending deals with essentially weak assumptions. If you cannot defend it, don't send it. It's actually pretty good. That rhymes. If you can't defend it, don't send it. I'm going to get that on a bumper sticker. Mistake number 4, chasing discounts instead of deal quality. We've touched on this. A cheap price does not fix essentially what is an absolute deal. And the rule of thumb that I always live by is, would I let my mother or my sister or my son buy this deal as an investment? If there's even a hint of doubt, it's a no and we move on. Mistake number 5, and this is the one that will keep you struggling for fees, is an inconsistent pipeline and follow-up. Sourcing and doing well at sourcing, making very good money at sourcing. The key is consistency. It's in the relationships. It's in the follow-up. You will have heard me say that before. It's not a burst of energy once a month. It's not a dose of motivation every now and again. It's consistency. So in terms of recapping, guys, the market has not killed sourcing. In fact, I would go as far as saying that 2026 can be a mega year for a lot of people who put the right systems and structures in place with their sourcing business. There is an opportunity here to earn a, shall I say, ton of money. So the market hasn't killed it, but you need to get better. In 2026, you need 2 out of the 3 margins that we spoke about. Safety margin, value add margin, or controlling the terms margin. Get 2 out of 3 of those and you're on to a winner. Your edge is your control here. Price evidence, due diligence, terms. What are your exits? And what still works, and I've said it for a long time, is the boring but very solid buy-to-lets. Realistic buy, refurbish, refinance, and then going for your problem-led opportunities that you can access through agents. For the next 7 days, I would encourage you to look at your last 5, 3, 10 deals, or the last 5 that you analysed, and give them a score now based on what we've talked about today. What margins did they have? Were they fragile? What assumptions were you hoping would happen? And then write your minimum standards and only source deals that hit 2 out of those 3 margins. As you know, guys, I help corporate professionals replace their salaries through property sourcing. If that is you and you want to have a conversation with me about what it might look like to work with me and my team directly to get support and coaching to do that, drop me a DM on Facebook, Danielle Bell, Instagram, Danielle Bell Property, and we can have a chat and see if it's the right fit. Until next time, have a fab weekend.